All right, let's go ahead and pause things up top here. I want to do a little video scouting report on Rob Dillingham, look at whether he makes sense for the Spurs in the 2024 NBA draft, specifically in the early to mid-lottery range. We're going to see, how does he perform against relatively good competition. I know that Vanderbilt's only 8-21. They put up a pretty good fight here, but I think this game in particular really encapsulates the positives and negatives of his game. I believe he had something around the lines of 23 points, 5 assists, 3 turnovers. We'll get into the specific stat line on the website, but right off the top here, Reed is going to have a pick and roll with Visich, kick it back out to Dilly, and then we're going to pause it here. So you can see that Reed was starting to drift down the three-point line, and rather than lead him to his spot, Dilly fires an absolute bullet that's kind of behind him, and you're going to see he's going to catch the ball, kind of lose control of it. And had he fired that pass, and we'll pause it one more time, had he fired that pass accurately, I think Shepherd would have had a wide open three-pointer. He's leading the nation in three-point percentage. That's probably an automatic 3 points for Kentucky, but he doesn't. And that's one of the things with Dillingham is that he has an incredible first step. He's super shifty. He's got pretty good vision, but sometimes he can play too fast, a little sped up, out of control. And that's an example of it. Again, he's going to get the ball here. Step back. There's really not much going on here. Probably didn't need to take that shot super early, but that's how the first possession ends. Then Rob's going to get the ball with some momentum coming out of the corner on a DHO, and there's the option to flip it back to Reed Shepherd. He doesn't, keeps it. He's going to dance on his man, and let's pause it here. So that is a really vicious push crossover, and because he's a threat to get downhill, the big man's going to drop for containment, and now he's got to the ball, just makes the simple read, kicks it out to a Visich. He shoots it, he misses it, but that's the right pass to make there, and you like to see that from Rob. We're going to pick this up in the middle of this possession, and things are already going to go haywire after Dillingham draws 2, kicks it to a Visich, loses it, taps it out to Reed, who kicks it out to Dillingham again, and then we'll pause it because Dilly sort of gets caught in the air here. I know that there's a defender who is sort of sinking down here, which is maybe going to take away that pass along the baseline to the corner, but before we unpause it, I'll tell you what happened. So Dilly is going to try to squeeze this ball in between 3 defenders to these cutters. I don't think that's necessarily the right idea. I think he still could have got to the corner. And as you can see, the ball is turned over. And that's just an example of Dilly sort of playing out of control. Defense has really been a struggle for Dillingham, and he's going to crowd his man's airspace, and because he's flat-footed here, gets blown by off the dribble and swipes down, gets away with the foul here, but on the very next possession, you're going to see his man call for a ball screen, which is going to spotlight one of his worst features, which is just disengaging after he's behind the play, and it's just not a good look for Dillingham. I'll be honest, most of the defensive tape from Dilly is pretty horrific, but he gets in a good high-hand contest from 3 here, bothers the shot, and then after the rebound and kick to Shepherd, he's going to throw an outlet to Dilly, who throws this lob, and we'll pause it. So I think you can see it's a smidge behind Aaron Bradshaw here, but if that's Wembanyama, he's going to be catching it, he's going to be throwing it down, and you really just like the process from Dillingham there on that fast break opportunity. And as the rest of the play goes, you can see that Bradshaw is not going to throw it down, but again, you like to see the processing there. It's a quick trigger decision, and it bodes well for his playmaking at the next level. We're going to see Rob creating the pick and roll here, patiently leads his man into the screen, pulls up early in the shot clock for a 3, but you'll live with that look because he self-created over a quarter of his threes this season and knocked them down at a 44.5% clip. Kentucky loves pushing the pace off of a miss, and I think that's why Rob makes so much sense for a Spurs team that plays up tempo, but let's go ahead and slow things down here as he sets his defender up with this gorgeous crossover that creates a ton of separation. He's going to get called for a charge here, but I don't really think the defender's feet were set. He'll probably get the benefit of the doubt in the NBA and be heading to the free throw line for 2 shots. One of the main concerns for Rob is his finishing, and he's only 56.5% at the rim this season. He gets downhill in a heartbeat, but has minimal lift without a clear runway and has to rely on his touch off the glass and craft to convert layups in a crowd. Even when he has a head full of steam in transition, most contact keeps him glued to the floor, and that's an easy strip block for his defender. Let's go ahead and freeze this clip as Dilly receives the ball along the baseline. One of the most important steps during the evaluation process is asking whether something translates to the next level. And as he sinks this tough floater, it's tough to imagine this small of a defender guarding him in the NBA. While Rob has struggled around the rim, he has still had some encouraging finishing flashes. I love how he feels the defender getting physical here, spins off him, and uses soft touch off the backboard on this layup, really cementing his status as a tough shot maker. One of the things that stands out for Rob is his effortless ability to create separation, freezes his defender with the jab step, attacks middle off the ball screen, and gets to the line when the helper clips his arm, digging on his drive. We'll tune into the middle of this possession. He misses the three, but makes up for it with this fake spin to open up the baseline drive for a jump pass to a wide open Reed Shepherd. Really nice body control and accuracy on the move here. However, his defense can be non-existent at times, so let's pause. Rob has zero awareness of this incoming ball screen, and as we resume, his man gets all the way to the bucket for a layup, and he has zero inclination to get back into this play. But part of what makes Dilly such an enticing prospect is his ability to score with and without the ball. Relocates here for a movement three, leaning to his left to give the lead back to Kentucky. For every bucket he scores, it often feels like he gives it right back, and while he does a solid job at the point of attack at the outset of this play, he falls back into bad habits, reaching around instead of sliding his feet to cut off the drive and giving up another layup. Yet it's these sequences that make you believe he has the highest offensive upside in this class, skips it to the corner, sets up shop near the logo, and drills a deep three off the driving kick from Antonio Reeves, and that's legitimate NBA range that San Antonio needs on their roster. Then again, it's poor navigation of a dribble handoff and another fruitless swipe that makes you wonder whether San Antonio has the personnel to make up for his glaring defensive shortcomings. Several times I asked, what is this defense? The big man gets away with a push-off on this screen, but Rob basically stands around after this misfire and offensive rebound from Vanderbilt, fails to recover back to his assignment for a timely closeout, leaks out when the Wildcats don't have the ball, which leaves the door open for this alley-oop, and that's simply unacceptable from him. Why don't we freeze things up top? We're not going to look at any more defensive clips since there's nothing of real substance from them in regard to Dilly, but I still wanted to take a moment to talk about how Kentucky will try to hide him on the worst backcourt shooter or least capable scoring threat to negate his negative impact. Could Popovich maybe do the same for him effectively at the next level? And does having the security net of a generational rim protector like Wemby alleviate some concerns about bigger ball handlers driving through his slender frame and opponents hunting him on switches? Now, those are certainly issues worth discussing this summer if you're Brian Wright in the front office, but this specific contest doesn't give us the film to explore those questions in depth. However, we can focus on his offensive skill set, and he brings a certain level of smoothness off the dribble that you can see when he pulls off this Euro step in traffic to free himself for a deep floater. Once Rob gets hot, it's so hard to stop him. Uses a sidestep to put space between him and the big after losing his man with the ball screen, and he's just so skilled with the rock. Dilly is more than just a gunner. He loves getting his teammates involved, and once he comes up with this loose ball, he fires a hit-ahead pass to Justin Edwards that just misses the mark, but it's definitely the right idea. On the next possession, the freshman is able to dislodge the ball on a dig and get the Wildcats out in transition. He's a little sloppy with the ball, but recovers it, swings it to Reed, who kicks it back to him to reset the offense. From there, he calls for a ball screen, lures the hedging big along the perimeter, and delivers a bullet to Ugana Onyenso, who simply smokes the left-handed finish. Let's hop into the middle of the next possession, where Rob shows off his handle before laying a pinpoint pass to the slipping roller, and if not for a timely tag from the low man and a heads-up rotation from his help, Kentucky probably adds two more to the scoreboard here. Coach Calipari draws up this double curl play on a baseline out of bounds sequence to get Rob the ball, but this is another instance of us having to ask whether this scenario would happen at the next level, so let's pause. Dillingham is generously listed at 6'3" and 176 pounds, which would put him in the bottom 3.7th percentile for weight in the NBA. His defender, Ezra Manjon, measures 6 feet and 170 pounds, and having a size mismatch like this would be highly unlikely once he enters the association. And as you can see when we resume, he backs him down into the paint for a tough one-handed floater off the glass, fading from the basket, which doesn't feel particularly translatable. And Dilly is a microwave scorer who gets points in bunches and understands how to get his own within the flow of the offense without commanding the ball. Flows into this drive directly off the catch for a wrong foot dominant hand finish as his big opens the lane with a textbook seal of the rim protector. One thing I love about Dilly is his off-ball equity, and he comes screaming off these staggered screens for a deep catch-and-shoot three. That shot versatility would make him invaluable for the Spurs. In the same breath, he can be prone to taking ill-advised heat checks when he's feeling himself, and while Rob whips out the Penny Hardaway special to generate space here, there's no real need to chuck up anything that early into the shot clock. Shot selection aside, Rob has serious upside as a pick-and-roll playmaker, so let's slow it down. Once his man makes contact with the screener, he drags his dribble along the line with the big and drop coverage to draw two to the ball. He then hurls a hook pass to Visic for an open triple, and he might have had 10 assists in this game if his teammates nailed all their clean looks. Dillingham might also be the best ball handler in this class, so let's hit the slow-mo button again. Because he has an insane combination of hip flexibility, hand-eye coordination, and the balance to get his chest parallel to the floor, Rob can hit tween crosses and change direction in an instant, and his ability to launch cross-court skips off a live dribble only adds to his appeal as someone who could fill San Antonio's need for a potential primary facilitator next season. Take note as Rob seamlessly changes speeds on this crossover, avoids the dig, engages the big, and delivers a perfect shovel pass to a Visic for a slam. He is so electric in transition. On the very next possession, Dilly makes a solid play in the open court, so let's freeze. Passing your teammates open is a hallmark of an advanced playmaker, but making the simple read is just as important. Rob recognized the 5-on-4 advantage Kentucky had here and probed the paint just long enough for DJ Wagner to set his feet above the break. And while he misses the open tray, that's exactly what you want to see from Rob. At this juncture, the win is all but sealed for Kentucky, but I still enjoyed watching Dilly dance on defenders. He has the rock on a string, spins off the big after the switch, launches a live dribble dime to the roller, who smokes the layup, but that's eye-catching stuff from the freshman point guard. Even when Vandy tries to trap him at the timeline, he loses both defenders with a shifty cross, sidesteps a third man, and hits a cutting Reeves with a no-look mid-air assist, and he just has a natural yet functional flair to his game. Speaking of flair, Rob puts an exclamation point on the home finale for Kentucky with this backhanded flip in transition to a Dotiero for a dunk, and that will cap the final possession for the Wildcats. But before we get out of here, I wanted to highlight some final thoughts on Dillingham. Though the Spurs should look to find their lead guard of the future, given his size limitations and defensive deficiencies, I'm not 100% sold on popping the front office drafting Dilly inside the top 5. With that said, he makes perfect sense as a reasonable gamble for San Antonio if the Raptors end up conveying their mid to late lottery pick to the good guys this summer. So that about wraps things up. Let me know what you think about this type of content for the Vic-and-Roll, and we'll see you next time, Spurs fans.